If there is one food that I think the majority of the world agrees on, it is instant noodles. On this channel, we have explored tons of iterations of them, and we have even eaten them all together. Today, however, we are dipping our toes back into the instant noodle genre with 5 personalized instant noodle iterations from 5 different countries. Let's get started.
Hi, my name is Genie. I live in Chicago in the United States. I wanted to share my dressed up spicy seafood ramen recipe. Nyeok is a Korean spicy ramen noodle with springy, chewy, thicker noodles than your average instant noodle. What makes my version special are the addition of ingredients. First, duck, or Korean sticky rice cakes. Korean sticky rice cakes are made of 100% glutinous rice and are most similar to Japanese kiri mochi in texture. The second ingredient, a jammy egg. I mean, eggs make everything better. I'm especially a fan of pasture-raised eggs with a bright orange yolk. 3, sliced oden, Korean fish cake. The fish cake has a pleasant, smooth texture and just soaks up the broth. I love this dish. It's so filling, comforting, with the perfect amount of spice. It's hearty and savory and warms you from the inside. The textures are the best part. The springy noodle, the chewy rice cake, the gooey yolk of the jammy egg.
I'm really curious. I just want to taste the broth. Ooh, that is spicy and hot, but there's definitely a kick to that. I think this will be good because I really love rice cakes. I think the spice is going to be nice.
Growing up, my default food preference was Korean food, and my favorite food to eat in Korea when visiting my grandmother was street food tteokbokki. My ramen recipe takes my favorite parts of tteokbokki and turns it into a quick meal, ready in under 10 minutes. Back home in the US, this recipe was another one of my latchkey kid growing up in the 90s making dinner for myself hacks. I think Koreans are probably the most instant noodle obsessed culture in the world. Go to any Korean supermarket or convenience store and see entire sections of instant noodles. I would say variations of this ramen recipe are pretty common in Korean households. This is a great quick backup meal when the fridge is empty or you are so tempted to call for takeout. This is definitely not the cup noodle you remember from your college dorm room.
This towel I accidentally took home from the gym. I'm gonna return it, but for now I'm gonna use it. Yum. That is super creamy from the Kewpie, and the rice noodles are cooked really well. Ooh, the egg is cooked perfectly. Can you see that it's still? Hooray! This feels so fancy. I feel like I could be getting this at a restaurant. The fish cakes are so good. I always think it's interesting how fish cakes have not made it over into kind of pop white culture in the same way that kimchi has, the same way that nori has. Fish cakes really should be there because they're bomb. How do you all feel about rice cakes? I feel like rice cakes are having their moment right now. They're so chewy. Mmm! With all these toppings, the seafood is not as spicy as it was when I tasted it just straight out of the bag. I would say this is like a 10 out of 10. You have to get a lot of ingredients for it, but what you end up with is something truly yummy. Pickled radish. Speaking of instant noodles, I just got back from a trip to Italy where I ate a ton of noodles and pasta, and I wore my Vessis the entire time, the sponsor of today's episode. Vessis are waterproof shoes that do not look like waterproof shoes. They are super comfortable to walk in. When I was walking all around Italy, I was wearing my Vessis and I never had foot pain, and we were doing like 20,000 plus steps a day. I even hiked up to the top of the Duomo in Florence in them. Felt good the entire time. And while it wasn't raining in Italy, if you do get stuck in a rain shower, Vessis are waterproof so your socks will not get wet. I'm somebody who likes to hike, and hiking can definitely get wet, and Vessis are a great shoe to go hiking in. It's very muddy. And they have a new style called the Courtside Classic, which has a vintage flair but is perfect for walking around, going on adventures, anything and everything in between. You can get 15% off your order by going to vessi.com/Beryl. It's the perfect way to kickstart your adventures with dry socks.
Hi Beryl! Hi everyone, my name is Nabila and I live in Bekasi, Indonesia. The dish that I want to share to you, it's called Indomie Nyemek. So Indomie is a noodle brand here in Indonesia, and Nyemek in Japanese means not dry but not wet. Also, Indomie Nyemek is an easy to make stir-fried noodle with a lot of toppings.
It wouldn't be Indonesia if we didn't add some chilies into the dish. That I have learned.
Such as eggs and sausage, mustard greens, and tomatoes as well. The result with some ketchup manis, and it's really good. I think every Indonesian knows this dish because it's commonly served at warung kopi or warmindo. It is a small stall that usually served coffee, tea, and other Indonesian snacks like pisang goreng or roti bakar. This dish is really affordable, especially at the time of the month. You know, the crisis, money shortage time. As Indonesians, people say krisis akhir bulan. And it's pretty cheap and fulfilling meal, and it has proteins from the eggs and fibers from the vegetables also. I think people should try this dish because it's really easy and cheap to make.
This looks nice.
And I hope you can enjoy some Indomie adventures because we have a lot of amazing Indomie recipe here in Indonesia. Have a good day, everyone.
Back with the towel, because this one's hot. This one is going to be fire in a great way. I love Indomie. I did an entire episode on Indomie noodles. They're one of my favorites. They're so hot. Yum. You can taste the aromatics so much at the base of the broth. I almost never eat a mustard green, and those were delicious. It kind of has like light kale flavoring to it. It's very soft in here. I love the addition of the eggs. You get a little bit of that scrambled egg bite, like an egg drop soup, but then the eggs within the broth makes it really creamy. I think as far as dressing up your instant noodles, this one is very simple and makes it feel very, very special. It's got so much flavor, so much texture, and Indomie noodles are just, I'm just gonna try some broth. I hope you all like that slurp. Yum, the ketchup manis in that is so good. It adds a little bit of that sweetness that I love. There's spice to it, there's sweetness, there's crunchiness, there's creaminess. This is a good instant noodle.
Hey Beryl, I'm a Raven. I was raised in Florida, but I'm currently residing in Vermont, in the northeast of the US. The dish that I'm here to talk to you about today is cheesy ramen pancakes. It's just a conjunction of ramen, sour cream, cheese, and egg fried to a crispy perfection. You can just throw it together with some ingredients left over in your pantry and your fridge, and it just works. It honestly tastes kind of like a quiche, but with a little bit more sustenance in it. I think me and my friends might have been the first ones to invent it.
So Raven's recipe, they said whatever feels right for the amount of cheese, which I tend to feel like a lot feels right, especially when it comes to a ramen pancake. I think I'm gonna be generous.
Getting home late at night with friends after a late night out on the town.
Okay, that's generous.
Not really feeling like we want to cook too much, so we made ramen, then fried it. Normally I use roast chicken flavored maruchan.
First I grabbed this spatula, but looking at this, I think we're gonna need the big boy here. Not you, the big one. I don't know how to know when it's time to flip it. I'm thinking like a pancake with the little bubbles, but there's just like a lot of bubbles. It has some structural integrity actually. Oh, I think, okay, it's time to flip it. Okay.
But I do believe any form of ramen could really work in this dish. This dish is fairly economical in my eyes.
After flipping, add more cheese to the top. Then flip again and fry until the cheese is crispy. We're putting another crispy cheese layer on this, people. This is not a drill.
Sour cream is inexpensive, cheese is not too expensive.
More cheese.
Ramen, very cheap.
Oh my god, it's crispy.
The eggs are probably the most expensive thing. People should try this dish because it's simple, it's easy, it highlights the fusion food of what we can create by throwing together ingredients from separate cultures.
When Raven said this was a late night snack ramen inspired dish, they weren't lying. This has that written all over it. Fork and knife time. Metal. It's so cheesy. This is gosh darn delicious. I questioned the sour cream in there because I didn't really understand what it was doing. I'll tell you what it was doing. It was making this the creamiest pancake I've ever had. And it's crispy with all of the cheese on the inside, but the crusty cheese on the outside on both edges gives you the most satisfying crunch I think I've ever had. I want the edge. This is so simple. Anybody could make it. I would highly recommend people try this. It is a treat. It is an indulgent treat, that is for sure. But if you've got a packet of ramen sitting around and you're thinking, oh, I also have cheese and I also have some sort of creaminess, make it. Make it. I know that I finished what I was saying, but like, I'm still snacking on it. This has transformed the ramen. Like, this was a transformation and I'm here for it. And I'm gonna keep snacking after we stop rolling.
Hi Beryl, my name is Jessica and I'm from the UK. Today I would love to share with you my Chongqing inspired instant noodle hack. Chongqing noodle dishes originate in southwestern China where they are a popular street food. This version has chewy potato noodles in a creamy but spicy peanutty soup. It's the ultimate comfort food and this hack means that you can enjoy it at home. In the UK, we are really lucky to have people from all over the world and with them a huge range of authentic cuisines to choose from.
I have had a lot of instant noodles in my life, but I have never tried potato noodles. It says firm and bouncy, which I like the sound of, so I'm excited to try this one.
I love this dish because I love exploring unique flavors and this gives me the excitement of visiting my favorite Chinese.
The peanut butter that I'm using is actually from the Netherlands because I did an entire peanut butter episode where I bought peanut butters from all around the world. So we're using this one because it's all natural and it ended up being one of my favorite ones. So smell it.
For this recipe, I use samyang potato noodles because they are the closest that I've found to a hand-pulled noodle in instant form, and I love their texture. The soup is also a great base for you to add to. I like to add a full spoon of peanut butter, you can use smooth or crunchy, and some Chinese pickled vegetables that you can find in your local Chinese supermarket, and then I top it with some crushed peanuts. I came up with this after craving my favorite dish from my local Chinese. It is super fast to make and cheap as it only uses the 3 ingredients in addition to the noodle packet. You should try this dish if you want a fast but unique comfort meal. I hope you enjoy it.
I like anything in a peanut sauce, so I think this is gonna be up my alley. Ooh, just got in my... I like anything in a peanut sauce, so I think this one's gonna be... It keeps hitting me in the eye. Oh. Take 3. I like anything in a peanut sauce. So this was gonna be up my...
Like there now.
Take 4. I like anything in a peanut sauce, so this is gonna be right up my alley. That's delicious. The peanut butter sauce with that noodle base is so good. These potato noodles are definitely firm and bouncy, like the bag promised. Let me try it with some pickled vegetables. I think that's gonna be great. That adds like a crunch a little bit of a vinegary tang to the creamy peanut butter. Adding peanut butter to your broth is just a really great hack on an easy way to upgrade instant noodles and make them feel so much fancier and so much more decadent. That one was a little complicated to eat. I just felt like it kept getting all over my face, but I loved it.
Hi Beryl, my name is Tamati and I live in Canberra in Australia. In Australia we don't call them instant noodles or ramen, we call them 2-minute noodles, and the 2-minute noodle dish that I want to share is called nonsense noodles. It's 2-minute noodles with chopped up raw tomato, cucumber and a tin of lemon pepper flavoured tuna. It looks like a mess when you make it, which is why it's called nonsense noodles, but it's very tasty. The most common 2-minute noodle flavours we have in Australia are all quite gentle, and you need something with a stronger flavour to stand up against the lemon tuna.
I couldn't find the recommended noodles. However, I found soy sauce noodles and I find that flavor to be very similar, so that's the one that we're going with. I'm also a little bit confused by this recipe because I think I'm making a soup with these vegetables, and that is interesting because cucumbers go in it, but we're doing it. Ugh. Come on, what the heck? I'm getting scissors. Ooh. La la.
The veggies add freshness, the tuna makes it hearty, and the flavour is bright and sharp and savoury. It's a very balanced meal full of nutrients and can be made no matter what cooking implements you have access to. All the ingredients are things I tend to have on hand and don't need to be refrigerated. All of that makes it a great way to eat something that will make my body feel good at times when otherwise I'd probably be leaning towards much unhealthier options. Nonsense noodles is absolutely not an Australian thing, it's a me thing, I made it up. But messing around and coming up with ideas that everyone else thinks are bonkers is like deeply, violently Australian. I think most Australians would have at least one, like, hear me out food. I probably have more than most. I eat Vegemite with a spoon, but everyone has at least one really weird thing they love, and this is one of mine. People should try nonsense noodles because they're fun, flavorful, and full of goodness.
I'm not gonna lie, this one is interesting to me for a couple of reasons. One, warm cucumbers. I've had warm cucumbers once. It was a German dish and it wasn't bad, but warm cucumbers. And number two, hot tuna, which is not one of my favorite things. Let's just dive in though. Let's just dive in. I need to be able to get a cucumber in this bite. The noodles and the tuna actually are not that bad. And the cucumber, I don't love the cucumber. I do really like these instant noodles though. I understand like where this concoction is coming from. You're kind of trying to make a more hearty soup that has elements to it. Are they coming together for me? Not necessarily. But I can see how this could work for some people. I'm trying here. It's okay to not like everything. This one is just like not necessarily for me. I'm gonna give it another bite. It's just kind of curious. I hope you enjoyed this episode and got a little bit of inspiration for the next time you make instant noodles. I'm leaving you with 2 other instant noodle episodes to keep you entertained. Until then, I will see you all next week.